So let's go with that one, shall we? Let's think about the floss rule. What is it? If you have one vowel and it ends in F, L, S, or Z, we're going to double it. Now, Z's are kind of tricky. I'm actually going to see if I can make my floss rule stay on that wall. Mix between all the letters for now. We tell our students that Z counts, but there are only 5 letters in the English language that have a double Z. So I have to find them for them. Okay. Fizz, frizz, no, my U is missing. Buzz, yeah, I'm going to use my upside down U, which I would never do with my students, although they will hand it to me that way sometimes. Buzz, fuzz, and so on. And jazz are our 5 American words that end in a double Z. There, like I said, there are 3 that don't follow the floss rule at all, and they happen to be pretty common words. The first one is bus. Why doesn't bus follow the floss rule? Because it's actually a small word for a larger, it's a shortened version of a larger word. The shortened word is omnibus. So of course we shortened it, right? Because who says I'm going on the omnibus to school today, right? So bus is the first one. The second one that's shortened is gas. What's that short for? Yes. Gasoline, okay? And the third one is yes. Anybody have an idea of what that one's shortened for? Yes, sirree, Bob. That's how we tell our students. Yes, sirree, Bob. The important thing about dyslexia is there needs to be some humor involved. Our kids have incredible humors, and we want to make this fun. Now, the actual truth is, it's actually short for yes, sir. That was how it was used, especially in the South, as that word was created. And so yes, sir was how it began. But if we make it yes, sirree, Bob, nobody forgets it. And then there is one final one for adults that I always tell, and that's the word golf. Anybody know what golf stands for? Gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Yes. So, I don't bring that one up unless I've got a question about it. But that gives you an idea of what we're explaining to our students. So then, when they have a word that they need to spell, and it's spelled incorrectly, I can say, think about the floss rule. Oh, that's right. It needs a double L. It's the same with double letters in the middle, which is considered the happy rule. It is the same with, in multi-syllable words, the campus confess rule, where we have accented and unaccented syllables. What we're teaching is nothing unusual. It's straight phonics. But because it's phonics done at a very systematic level, you build one thing at a time. We don't teach that A has 3 sounds at the beginning, because let's just confuse the system. Instead, we say, this is all the times that A is going to say A. And now I'm going to give you, these are all the times when A is going to say A, and then later I give them, oh, by the way, it can also say it's schwa sound, which is up. Because we have so much layered on itself, we can give them the exceptions before they bump into them. And that's huge for our kids, because as long as they know, they've got it. So that's what a lesson would look like. I'm going to pass tiles around and give you that idea. The thing that we've realized in the last year is most of the time a student who is struggling with reading is not found by their parents. They're found by somebody else who can recognize those skills. Because of that, it's really information and making sure that other people get that information and that education is really huge. Because you are the chance to say, I heard this. this top, or I saw this sheet, and you will make the difference in the life of the student. That's how it works. That's the big part. So hang on, you're gonna just see where we're at, and then I'll move on from there. Can you tell me, off the top of your head, when you hear the word dyslexia, what do you think of? They see letters backwards. They switch them around. What's the rule on how to spell it? Yeah. And how do you say dyslexia? Anybody else?
Numbers.
It can be numbers backwards or upside down, right? Horrendously bad spellers, right? Has anybody thought dyslexics can't read? Ever heard that one? How about dyslexia only occurs in, or is more common in boys? Or is more common in left-handers? Actually, those are both false. There is no difference between what hand you use. There's no difference between boys and girls. We just catch it in boys more frequently because girls slide under the radar. Typically, girls care a little bit more about their handwriting than the boys do, and they'll come up with a quieter solution. Boys are like, I hate reading, and the desk goes over.
Is all reading difficulty dyslexia?
No, there is others, but that's a really good question. Dyslexia covers 85% of all reading disabilities. So if you have a student that has a reading disability, and that's what you've been told, 85% of that 100 kids have dyslexia in some form. Dyslexia covers a gamut of severity too. We can have, if I start left to right? Mild, moderate, severe, and profound. When you're in the mild category, typically, you hated spelling as a kid, but you figured out ways around it. And most of those kids are never discovered. The moderate students are where we start seeing, I really had to work hard in school as adults. That's what they might say. I had to go to a 2-year college before I could go on to college, or I had to try college twice before I got it to stick. That's usually where we see in the moderate category. Severe is where it is really debilitating in every way, shape, and form. They also may have an issue with dysgraphia, which is the handwriting piece. Reading is incredibly difficult for these students, and profound is they are going to struggle with every part of this. And chances are their working memory, their long-term memory, their short-term memory are also affected. So it gives you the length. As I look at myself, like I said, we have 4 kids with dyslexia. It is genetic, so they had to get it from somewhere, right? We blamed it on Dave for a long time because we know that dyslexia runs in his family. But he kept coming back to the statistic that if you have one parent with dyslexia, 50% of your children will be dyslexic. So how come we had 4 kids? And I said, well, we can have 8 and see if the other 4 are fine. He declined. So for a while, we let him take the blame until I went to graduate school and started looking at what those adult symptoms are for someone with mild dyslexia, and it's me. Absolutely. I love to read, but I'm a sight read learner. I just sight read all the words, figured out, filled them in around the context, and learned them just by being a voracious reader. So it's one of those where you go, huh, how did that work? So as we look at that parent, as parents, oftentimes it's going to be you guys who say, have you ever looked at dyslexia? Or a teacher who says, have you ever looked at dyslexia?